Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome you to another consulting class. Of course, the focus today will be on scientific writing. Okay, scientific writing. So when we talk about scientific writing, of course, it's very crucial in consulting, not only in consulting, in research world in general. So scientific writing refers to what I'm actually gonna call, a structured or the pieces of uh, communication. Just like you already um, done what you're supposed to do. You've analyzed your data, and you want to, share the knowledge, share the information in a way that will be objective, that will be very objective and very clear. So I'm actually going to refer to that as, I think I'm going to write, okay? Let me write that. So a structured, okay, and precise form of communication, okay, used to convey, okay, research results. It may be a research result or maybe even theories, because at times we discover new theory and we want the outside world to get to know about it. Okay. So technical information, okay. So clearly and objectively. So this is scientific writing. Okay. So like I said, a structured and a precise form of communication used to convey research result theories, okay, or even technical information clearly and objectively. So here we have a systematic way of doing that. So the systematic way of doing that is actually probably going from, at times we go from abstract to introduction, okay, to introduction, at times to literature or literature review, to methodology, okay, to methodology. So to results, and after results, we have discussion, then finally conclusion. So we have it arranged in a logical way. So let me just say that is what scientific writing. Scientific writing, we want to ensure that the information is being shared, okay, objectively, and oh, uh, reproducibility can also take place. Okay, so now here we actually going to be making use of what I'm actually going to saw, technical, uh, you know, statistical vocabularies at times and so on like that. And we're also going to be citing, references. Okay. or there's going to be some kind of citations, okay, because we don't just do what we do. We normally start from trying to review what people have done, and we're also going to include that as part of what we're reporting. So by scientific writing, that is exactly what we mean. Okay, now if you take a look at this, writing out from the middle, okay, like I said, giving a report, it may be, maybe you want to write a proposal, so to win a grant. Okay, there's a logical way it should be structured. Okay, you know, um, before you can successfully have your information, shared. Okay, so now any scientific paper, we include some sections like you're going to have introduction, method, results, and conclusion. A discussion. Then before you go into conclusion. So, but what we want to assume here, we want to start with the results section. Like, oh, if we've already analyzed, and that is what we actually want to report about. So, and before you can make your report, of course, analysis will take place. What do you want to report on? Do you want to report on the results you got from exploratory data analysis or from the formal data analysis? I think I'm going to spend my time here. According to John Tukey in 1970, John Tukey actually worked on, let me write the name, John, John Tukey. Okay, so John Tukey in 1970 worked on a paper called exploratory data analysis. It's trying to tell the world, the preliminary analysis that we do, okay, before we go into the real analysis is trying to get to know our data set. John Tukey said we're doing a detective work, okay? It's not trying to get to know your data set for you to be able to know, uh, you know, what would be an appropriate methodology to use. So when you get to know your data set, exploring your data, and a way to explore your data is to go, is to generate some summaries. Maybe I want to talk about graphical summaries, or I want to have a numerical summaries, basic statistics, just for me to be able to understand my data set. And that's why John Tukey referred to that as a detective work. Okay, then after that, then we go into the formal analysis where we build and test models. Okay, now curating a storyboard for the result section. You already have a result, but uh, the way you're going to communicate, you need to be able to communicate your results in a way that the audience will grab the information you're passing across. Some researchers or some students writing projects, they've actually spent a lot of time, they've done great job, excellent work, but they are let down with reporting. Reporting is very important, okay? And that's why if you see marketers, right? Marketers, the way they market products, of course, you will want to buy and buy and buy and buy, okay? With the way they actually gonna present the products. So, right, in scientific reporting, we actually gonna tell a story, a beautiful story, okay? Not just story, okay? So, and the way I said a visual outline that inform a formal written outline. Okay, number one, okay, I need materials that I want to talk about. Okay, maybe in my research, I've generated tables. Okay, we got plots. Okay, another output. Okay, I need them before I can tell a story because I'm going to tell a story about them. Okay, the group related materials. So you need to identify what materials are telling you. Okay, we don't just put them in our report. We really want to be able to tell a story about the reason, about what kind of information they actually uh passing across. Okay, so choosing materials, sequence the choosing tables and plot, then add captions and transitions. Okay, so just trying to tell you that. And when you're creating a story for the result section, okay, which you choose the material, you could have several tables with a similar ideas. I will advise that you should choose just one because of repetition. We don't want a situation whereby the reader is going to get bored. Okay, so and that's why if you have produced several tables and they are, they present the same ideas, I will advise that you choose one or two. Okay. And I said if some materials can be summarized briefly in writing, then eliminate the materials or move them to appendix. And that's why at times we allow, to put as many in appendix. Okay. We can refer them to the appendix, in case they need more information because there should be a kind of limit because you're not going to write forever and you don't want a situation whereby the reader is going to get bored. So now I said if some materials are not necessary for the main storyline, move them to appendix. It is not all materials that we move to appendix because do you know there are some readers that may not even look at appendix at times. So if you know the materials are very, very important, then make a story about that materials and let it be in the body of the letter. Okay. Now, yeah, talking about, the other time I said you sequence the choosing table and plot. Okay. I said consider how these groups relate to each other. Order them in a way that best presents your findings because there are some kind of plot that I'm going to start with. Okay, now I have to start with this plot before I go to the other plot. I have to say the reason why I'm starting with the plot. There are some plots that they're doing the job of description, and there are some plots that may be doing the job of fresher statistics and so on like that. Okay, then add captions and transitions. Okay, I'm going to show you all of that. But you know what we want to do now? Let's act as if we are having this particular data set. We want to tell a story. When we have data set like this, data set is a pie of numbers, right? Pie of numbers. Okay, doesn't really make sense looking at them. Okay, until we actually transform this data set graphically or otherwise before it's going to make sense. Okay, now from what I'm seeing here, okay, we're talking about chicks weight. We actually have some feed, right? And we look at the weight, just like maybe we use some fits on cheeks and the intention is maybe probably to increase weight, and from different kind of feed, this is the kind of weight that actually come out of that after applied to animals. So yes, I take the tables and graphs I've generated from a chicken weight that I said and try to create a story of the results. Okay, trying to give, but I'm going to give you a typical story you can tell based on the graphical and the numerical analysis you've done on this. Okay, let's say we have this data set. Okay, we want to make a story, okay, on this data set. Now, making a story, we need to of us have either a graphical analysis or descriptive analysis or fashion and so on like that. So take a look at this. The very first thing, let me tell you this. For you to be able to know, the story to tell, you want to tell a story, I want to tell a beautiful story. I need to look at my data set. Then I will first understand my data structure. Then when I look at my data structure, then if I want to describe graphically, I need to look at the nature of my data set. Now, when you take a look at this, I'm seeing that it's categorical, right? Categorical, that's levels. Now, the best way to summarize, one of the best plot to summarize categorical variable, okay, is what I call a bar plot. Okay, to summarize a categorical variable, we can use a bar plot and a pie chart. The two of them are used to summarize categorical variable. Don't forget the categorical variables have levels. Okay, what is my intention summarizing them? I want to compare levels. Take a look at this. What am I comparing here? I'm comparing levels. Okay, if you take a look at the way it was here, the way it is here, okay, it doesn't really make sense. Somebody that is not in statistics, okay, I know is rich, stinkingly rich, okay, may not be able to understand this, okay. But if you take a look at this, the way it is right here, okay, they will be able to, it's going to give them opportunity that, oh, soya bean actually is the biggest, right? They will be able to know the ox bean is the smallest, okay. So take a look at that. Then there's another way. So pie charts and bar charts, they are appropriate plot for summarizing categorical variable. This is a category, this is a categorical variable. Okay. And I love the way they put different colors on the pie chart. And here too, you can put a different colors. Okay. You can put a different colors to distinguish. Now, if you want to compare, and you want to use a graphical plot, how many of you will support bar plots? I need your hands up. If you're going to support a bar plot in comparison, okay, how many? One, two, okay. Thank you for, how many we actually prefer a pie chart? How many? We prefer a pie chart? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so whether a pie chart or a bar graph, of course, we use them, they are graphical plots used in summarizing, categorical variable. Does that make sense? Okay, now, if you take a look at this guy, okay, if you get a look at this guy now, that is a comparative box plot. The essence of this, okay, having this particular box plot, it's going to give us opportunity to see a lot of things. Number one, okay, it's going to give us opportunity to compare the mean weight across different type of feed. And you can see, if you want to talk about the mean weight, you see the solid line actually giving an impression here, they may not be the same. Okay. It's not as if they may be statistically significant, between them, but this is actually telling us we should conduct a test. Okay, we are suspecting that the mean are not the same. And not only that, box plot has a 5-number summary. Okay, you have the minimum, you have the maximum, you have the first quartile, the second quartile, and third quartile. This is also going to give you opportunity to see how each you know level they are distributed. Take a look at this. The fact that you have this one not in the middle of that is showing it is skewed. I can use box plots to answer a question that has to do with normality. Okay, you take a look at this one. This is very close. This has been like a normal. Look at that. It's in the middle. Can you see that? For linseed. And this is also going to give us a way to see in which of the level of the feed that we may be suspecting outlier. You see that? You see outlier here? Let's see some point here that are outside. Okay, that's giving that indication. Okay, so you can see here we have a comparative box plots. Now, take a look at this. Okay, we are now focusing on a response variable, weight. Weight is quantitative. Okay, now we want to know how it is distributed, and that's why you're seeing an histogram. We have several plotting statistics. If you really want to tell about the probability distribution of a random variable, response variable here, I can make use of histogram. I can make use of stem and leaf plots. Has anybody heard about stem and leaf plots? Okay. I can use the box plots. Okay. I can use density plot and so on like that. Okay. This, like I said, we have never started anything inferential. These are just descriptive. This is just to enable us to get to know our data set as given by John Tukey in 1970. Okay, so they are actually very, very important. Now, you know, if you take a look at the descriptive analysis, when you take a look at the plot that I showed you the other time, the comparative box plot, you can actually, that is giving us a sense that the means are not the same. Okay. And because of that, what we can do, okay, we can actually write it out. Let's write the mean for each of that. You can say 324, 160, 219, 277, 246, 329. Of course, that the means are not the same. And we also have the standard deviation. Okay. Well, let me tell you this. We don't just look at the values of the means to take a decision. We also put into consideration the standard deviation and measure the spread. Now, that is going to be giving us a sense that, okay, this, based on the comparative box plot here, based on the comparative box plot, we can conduct an hypothesis that will test whether the weight given by different types of feed is the same or not. And when they are modern, you can see we don't just do what we do. We've already suspected from the descriptive plots before we now go into analysis, which is going to be inferential right now. You don't go into inferential without first passing through a descriptive analysis. Now, in the inferential now, what we want to do is to conduct analysis of variance. If I want to compare means, if I want to test whether the means are the same, okay, and the population, the group is more than two, and provided assumptions, we got assumptions, using any statistical model analysis of variance as given by Ronald Fisher. Okay, number one assumption is that the population has to be normal. Each of the population you're choosing from has to be normal. Not only that, then the group have to be independent. Okay, the group have to be independent. Okay, and there must be a constant variance across group that we call homoscedasticity, constant variance, and not only that, absence of outlier or something like that. Okay, now you know what we know what this guy is giving us right now. The p-value here, okay, is less than 0.05, is giving us that the means are the mean weight are not the same. Okay, at least so that because of the p-value, the mean weights are not the same. Now, but before I can really before this result can be valid, investigation need to be done about whether assumption underlying the use of the analysis of variance hold in the first place. Now I need you to pay attention, and that is the reason why I'm doing this right now. This is what we call post-analysis. Okay. This is what we call post-analysis. Okay. Actually, what I want to do right now is to investigate whether assumptions underline the use of analysis of variance owed in the dataset. Otherwise, if the assumption fail, we cannot trust this p-value if assumption fails. Okay. And of course, we have a non-parametric depending on what assumption is violated the moment you know um analysis of variance there's a violation of assumption, we could resolve into a non-parametric procedure. Analysis of variance is a parametric procedure, that actually relies on stringent assumptions. Situation where assumptions are violated, we could resolve into non-parametric procedure. Has anybody heard about Kruskal-Wallis? Okay, Kruskal-Wallis. Kruskal-Wallis is a non-parametric alternative. Okay, use instead of analysis of variance whenever there's a violation of assumption, maybe assumptions of normality, something like that. Okay, using Kruskal-Wallis, we're no longer going to be using a Kruskal-Wallis of non-parametric test. We're no longer going to be testing for equality of means. But you know what we're going to be testing for? Can somebody tell me for extra credit? What are we going to be testing for? Eh? Very close. Instead of us testing for equality of means, we're no longer going to be testing for equality of means anymore because there's a violation of assumption. We're going to be testing for equality of medians instead of testing for equality of means. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, now, but how are we going to know? Please pay attention. Okay, the use of residual plots can actually be used to test if there's a violation of constant variance. Of course, we all know in regression analysis, we use residual plot to investigate whether linearity assumption hold and the constant variance assumption. And as you can see now, it's looking like as if it's old because the spread is more or less similar over the fitted value. And if I want to know about the normality assumption, okay, I can check the normal QQ plot. You see the normal QQ plot, okay? Now, if I want to investigate whether there's an outlier, high leverage, and so on like that, and that's why we have this. So all of that need to be reported. Okay, they need to be reported. Okay, so take a look at that. So now, when you are reporting now, you have to explain what you see. You have to interpret what you see. Okay, so take a look at that. Okay, now, you know, if everything is okay, if there's no violation of assumption, and the null hypothesis has been rejected, there's one weakness that I have with the analysis of variance. The analysis of variance is not going to tell you where the difference lies. We just compare different levels of feed, okay, in giving weight to chickens, right? And the p-value is actually telling us, that we should reject the non-hypothesis. Okay, now how are we going to know where the difference lies? We want to see, is the difference that exists, is it between Cassin and us and the husband, or is it between that and that? Is it between that? We don't know. The analysis of variance can't tell us that, and that's why we need a multiple comparison test. Okay, the multiple comparison test. Okay, we need a multiple comparison test to be able to do that. And there's the different kind of multiple comparison tests in literature. Okay, now we're actually one of them is the Turkey HSD. Okay, now when I do the Turkey HSD, look at what I have. It will give me an opportunity to compare, the the pairwise level of this particular feed I talk about. Okay, you can see the difference. Okay, you can see the lower and the upper. Why am I reporting the lower and the upper is because I may actually want to use that to take a decision. Let me tell you this. If I have from negative to negative, or I have from positive to positive, that is where the difference lies. If you want to use a confidence interval, you can see I have negative to negative, negative to negative. Okay, where you have negative to negative, okay, or positive to positive, okay, either negative to negative or positive to positive, that is where the difference lies. Okay, and that is the reason why, take a look at that. That's why if you want to judge by p-value, it's going to be less than 0.05. So whichever one you want to choose to report, either the p-value or you want to use the confidence level. You know, when you are from negative to positive, of course, negative to positive includes zero, right? I'm going to give you an example like this guy. Where's that guy? Okay, take out this guy. From negative lower bound to positive, that includes zero. And that was why you say the p-value here is going to be bigger than 0.05. That shows insignificant. What that is telling you, the difference in weight, you know, it's trying to say, okay, even though I know there's a difference. You can see the difference. You see the magnitude of the difference. Even though I know there's a difference between the weights, okay, the weight given by the sunflower and that, but that difference is not statistically significant. That's what I mean. Does that make sense? Okay, so take a look at that. Okay, now then you start telling the story, okay, about you know, but let me tell you this. The story here, you know, I said something here. I said, let's have few group uh present their story and answer this question. How did you group your findings? What message are you trying to tell? What tables and plot did you include or exclude? It is not all tables that we are going to include. It's not all plot that are needed, but you know, what I show you now right now, they need to be included. You just need them because that is how to convince that you know your the model you have used is appropriate. Because let me tell you this, what make statistical model to be great is when assumption hold. Okay, a model is as good as assumption putting into a model. Okay, and so you can take a look at that. Okay, so this is about, like I said, you know, telling story. You should be able to know how to tell a story. Then finally, I said, while writing your results section, you essentially have the core of your results section. Take note on your story board, identifying the foundations, assumptions, elimination. Okay, and I need you to pay attention to foundation. What need to be explained for your result to make sense to your reader? What do I need to explain in, maybe I'm presenting to statistical audience, or I'm presenting to the general audience in general. I actually want to justify the methodology, the approach in statistics that I use, and I know all our techniques, all models in statistics are, they actually have assumptions. Then I need to be able to explain to the world assumptions are met by showing some appropriate plots. Okay, and that was why take a look at that assumptions. Okay, they have to be checked. We don't need to rush to decision. I can get any result. The p-value could be less than 0.05 or it could be greater than 0.05. I can get any result, but assumptions underline the use of that model is very, very important. It's just like Somebody, I used to use that example. Somebody commit an offense in the state of Minnesota, and the person ran all the way to Wisconsin. Okay, and maybe the law enforcement in the Wisconsin arrested the guy and they try him in Wisconsin court. Even and if they are able to establish the fact that he committed the offense and they take a decision, whatever decision they take is going to be declared non and void just because he did not break Wisconsin law. Okay, so you need, and that's why assumptions, checking for assumptions, is very, very crucial. We don't just celebrate when you see your p-value is very small. No, don't start celebrating, because when the premise of an argument is wrong, so the conclusion. Okay, now you have to think about what are those to eliminate. Okay, what are the materials I need to remove? Okay, you need to prioritize, you need to be able to understand, to know, the more relevant one that you can use to convince the audience. Then we said, iterate on your roadmap. Iterating on your roadmap is okay. Maybe you had this and you realize that, oh, you remove it, then you rearrange the material, as if you are doing a stepwise kind of regression where you are adding and removing significant predators to the model. Okay. But let me tell you this, the best way to understand this, you can try and grab some research articles for you to be able to see. Okay. So that's what I got for you for the writing. And materials, you want to source, more, you can read that. Communicating with data. You know, you're communicating with data. Data is just pair of numbers. How are you going to communicate with data in a way that, those that are not even in the field, they'll be able to get the information you're passing across. Okay. And so that material is very, very, if you can read it, 2021 by Nolan and Stout, Communicating with Data, The Art of Writing for Data Science. That was published in Oxford University Press. Okay. And like I said, you can access the electronic version of the book for free from the University Library website. Okay. That is all what I got for you today. Is there any question? Make sure you all stay safe and have a lovely day. Bye for now, everyone.